Our first speaker has been a firebrand since before there was a Tea Party. Her work with the Young Americans Foundation and the Reagan Ranch is something that I'm jealous of every single time I look at a picture of where the Reagan Ranch is. Ladies and gentlemen, let's hear it for Kate Obenshain.
Buddy, it's great to see you on this beautiful day. God is shining on us, isn't He? It is gorgeous. You know, I love being in my old stomping grounds of Charlottesville, Virginia. I was a student at the University of Virginia many, many moons ago. But isn't it great that we have this kind of a Tea Party movement in the heart of liberalism? Because whenever we break through the meanness of the left, the name-calling, the petty partisanship, the lies, and the fear-mongering with our positive, visionary ideas of what made this country great, we win. So it is incredibly important that we come to places like Charlottesville and take our message to places where it is needed. Now, I remember being here with a lot of you a couple years ago in this very place when President Obama came to town a different time. It was right, I think maybe it was October, it was right before the elections of 2010. And what a fun time that was. 10,000 people came out to hear Barack Obama. How many are coming out today? Okay, I hear that there are a few tickets still up for grabs, so if anybody wants to go and be among the maybe 3,500 who are showing up to hear the president, I think you can. I'm not thinking that a lot of you, oh, a ticket right there. I'm thinking a lot of you probably are not that gung-ho. Do I need to get closer? Okay. But it is amazing to me that right now, after that whole hoopla over hope and change, that some other fellas are drawing much bigger crowds than the hero, Barack Obama. I am thrilled about that. Now, do you remember Audrey Jackson? Where are you? Right there. Audrey is a rock star. In fact, I mention her in my new book that's coming out Tuesday, September 4th, called The Divider in Chief. I'll let you guess who it's about. But I mention Audrey because she and AFP are doing God's work here in Virginia and all across the country. Yeah, you can clap for AFP. They are doing an amazing job. But there was this great video that you guys did on YouTube 2 years ago, and it was that long line that was standing out waiting to hear President Obama, and there were all these, you know, campus leftists out there. There were the administrators and the professors and some students. Can you believe some of them are leftists too? So they were standing out there, and AFP folks were handing out those bumper stickers that say socialism isn't cool. They were walking along the line and they were filming it as they were going. And all of the people in the line kept saying, well, what's the matter with socialism? Well, I think socialism's pretty cool. Well, I'm all about socialism. Now, it was a hysterical video, but it's a terrifying thought that so many people in this country are embracing the notion that there can be equality of outcome, that is somehow an American principle. The terrifying thing is that in a recent study, it showed that equal numbers of young people preferred socialism to free market, entrepreneurial, capitalistic approaches to our economy. That should send chills down our spines. Because what the big problem here is, it's not just who's going to win the next election or the next election, it's who cap generations. If young people come to believe that socialism is the way of the future, that somehow America is no better than any other country, that somehow we are an imperialistic nation trying to conquer others, then we will lose everything we treasure about America. It will cease to be the greatest country on the face of the earth. Now, about 4 years ago, young people embraced the notion of hope and change. By 34%, Obama won the young people of this country. Bought into the yes we can, change you can believe in, and my personal favorite, we are the change we've been waiting for. Obama was able to appeal to that sort of natural hope and optimism. The idea that he was going to transcend partisan politics, by the way, going to be the most transparent president ever. And as soon as he won, what happened? He started actually saying, I won, you lost, get over it. Do you remember when he said that to Eric Cantor? I mean, just right there to his face. And Paul Ryan? They said, get out of my way, I won, I'm not dealing with you people. I'm gonna ram healthcare down your throats. I'm gonna let lobbyists into the White House to help me come up with what it is, but I'm not gonna let anybody else see the negotiations. So much for C-SPAN, right? Remember, we were gonna have C-SPAN coverage of all the healthcare negotiations? Everything was behind closed doors. And the only ones who actually could get into the White House were the lobbyists. Exactly what he said would not happen. Everything he promised, he has done the opposite. We have never seen this degree of name-calling, of nastiness, of meanness, of viciousness. We've never, ever seen anything like it. But the harsh reality of our economy and the harsh reality of how he's abandoned all of his promises are turning young people around, waking them up that this was not what they asked for. Skyrocketing tuition, skyrocketing student loans. This is the first time in American history that young people think their future will be less prosperous than their parents. That is a disgrace. That is not what we are about as Americans. You know, that whole, I know he's been going around with the world apology tours and, of course, wants to raise taxes, ridiculous level of regulation. But there's something else that's been happening that for a while was a little more subtle. And that is the attack on who we are as Americans. What makes us great? That ambition, that drive that we can build anything we want to build. Without the government interference, we can do it. In fact, a lot better without the government sticking its nose in. But this is not a new thing. It didn't just happen. I want to read you 2 paragraphs from a speech that our president gave in 2009, shortly after he was inaugurated. And he gave this to young people. Now keep in mind, President Obama has been on college campuses more often than any other president, once every 11 days. The most powerful man on earth has been targeting young people with ruthless intensity with his ideology. Listen to what he said at at Arizona State University at their graduation in May of 2009. I'm not going to be able to get through this without some commentary, but I want you to hear it. Now he says, in the face of these challenges, meaning the economic times, it may be tempting to fall back on the formulas for success that have been peddled so frequently in recent years. It goes something like this. You're taught to chase after all the usual brass rings. You're taught to try to be on this who's list or this top 100 list. You chase after all the big money and you figure out how big your corner office is going to be. You worry about whether you have a fancy enough title or a big enough car. That's the message you've sent every day, or that our culture has sent for far too long. That through material possessions, through a ruthless competition pursued only on your behalf, that's how you will measure success. A ruthless competition pursued only on your own behalf? This man has no idea what this country is about. What that drive to succeed is about. It's about building a better future for our children. That is not ruthless competition. Who is he to say that you and I should not dream the biggest possible dreams we can? And if we happen to buy a big car in the process, well, God bless us, we are paying for people to build those big cars. In America, we don't have somebody telling us how big we can dream or what kind of car we can drive or how much of a salary we can make. That's not the American way. But then he went on. He didn't get enough in there. So he said, now you can take that road the one where you pursue success only on your own behalf, because he has no idea what he's talking about. And it may work for some of you really, really greedy people, it'll work for you. But at this critical juncture in our nation's history, at this difficult time, let me suggest that such an approach won't get you where you want to go. Because Obama and the federal government and all the leftist elites know exactly where you want to go better than you do, okay? So listen up. It displays a poverty of ambition that, in fact, the elevation of appearance over substance, of celebrity over character, of short-term gain over lasting achievement is precisely what your generation needs to help. I will tell you, this president's view of the United States of America displays a sincere poverty of ambition for Americans. Friends, this is not about an election. This is about our way of life. And no, it's not about who buys the biggest car, but it's about whether or not we can continue to dream, whether or not we can continue to have glorious hopes for our children and grandchildren, that their future will be brighter and more prosperous, that you know what? That their future will be more free. Let's not just protect our freedom, let's expand our freedom back to what the Founding Fathers envisioned. The bottom line is, no matter how tired we get, no matter how much name-calling and intimidation they throw after us, we have no choice but to be more involved, more vocal, more positive, and more effective than we have ever been. Now, I'll tell you one thing. I was at a Tea Party event, it was about a year ago, and I was giving my speech. This is just a little tip for our side so we can be the most effective. And as I was talking, this gentleman with a big scowl on his face interrupted about 5 times and said, "Obama's a communist." I said, "Woo! Okay, we'll talk later." Kept saying it again and again. And then he came up to me afterwards and he said, with this big grin on his face, looked like the nicest man in the world, said, "Oh, I loved your speech. I love Sarah Palin. This was great, great, great." I said, "We need to talk. You're not convincing anybody to pursue freedom when you shout out with that big old scowl on your face, 'Obama's a communist.' We need to talk about ideas. We need to talk about our vision for the future. That's how we win. That's how we convince young people that equality of opportunity is the highest ambition for this country, not equality of outcomes. If you want equality of outcomes, go to Cambodia. Everybody's equal and they're all poor. We don't embrace that vision for our future. We embrace prosperity. You know, that whole idea that we need to be seeking compromise, you know, that doesn't mean anything. That means that the Democrats want us all to agree with them. And anytime we state our position, they say that we're being divisive. Is that the funniest thing you've ever heard? We're being divisive.